Nigeria is set to spend 869 billion naira on its first housing and population census in almost 2 decades. Arise correspondent Georgina Ndukwe Ezanyika has details of a high-level engagement held with stakeholders to ensure the success of the census. Here is her report.
Since the last population census held in 2006, there have been several failed attempts to carry out another population and housing census. 17 years after, Nigeria has again started the process of conducting a national census. The government is seeking an updated data on the exact population of the country and the size of the different ethnic groups. The 2023 census will be the 5th national census in the country's history since independence.
The 2006 census was done manually. But this is technology-driven. We are going to use geospatial technology. Houses will be geotagged, so we know where they are on the faces of the earth.
This high-level engagement with international partners is organized by the Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning in conjunction with the National Population Commission to galvanize support towards the successful conduct of the 2023 census.
So we will be establishing a basket fund that will be managed by UNFPA, and it will be established for the redemption of the pledges that would be made.
We cannot deliver the SDGs if we do not deliver the census in Nigeria. So when you contribute to the census in Nigeria, you also contribute to the global promise and achieving and delivering on the Sustainable Development Goals.
The federal government says it has already contributed 291.5 billion naira to the census, which is 46% of the total funding, put at 869 billion naira. The government is seeking more funding from the private sector and international partners.
Allow me thus to respectfully urge on behalf of the United Nations all invited donors, the private sector, to consider very seriously providing financial and technical assistance to this crucial undertaking.
We firmly believe that by working together, we can achieve our shared goal of obtaining high-quality data that will inform evidence-based decision-making and proactively impact our nation's development.
And to assure you that the entire states, the 36 states, are fully committed to this process and to this project.
And so 17 years after the last census, stakeholders here have agreed that it is critical that Nigeria conducts a very credible exercise that will help in addressing socio-economic issues and ensure an even spread of the nation's resources, as well as the formulation of good government policies. Georgina Ndukwe Ezanyika, Arise News.
For further discussion on everything about the impending national census, I'm now being joined by Dr. Isiaka Yahaya, Director of Public Affairs, National Population Commission. Good to have you on the program, Dr. Yahaya.
Yeah, good evening, Dr. Reba Abati, and good evening, viewers.
Thank you very much. Well, Dr. Yahaya, first, could you help us with some clarification as to whether or not, in the view of the postponement of the governorship and House of Assembly elections till now March 18, whether it will still be possible to have the census begin on March 29, or is it true, as indicated, that the census exercise has been postponed? Is it the entire phase? Because it's in 3 phases that have been postponed.
Yes, thank you very much. Actually, the postponement of the governorship election, has implication for the plan to conduct the census from 29th March to 2nd of April. And when this happened, we are having we have also taken some other factors into consideration, not just the postponement of the election. And right now, what I can tell you is that we are trying to review the date for the census. But as regards the date, I cannot confirm any specific date for it, but what I can say that we are undergoing a review process of the timelines for the census. And like you said, whether this will affect all the 3 stages, well, all I know is that there are 3 stages of the census: the pre-census period, the post-census period, the actual enumeration. Well, that's the real period where the census will be conducted, and the post-enumeration period. Well, we have almost passed the pre-census period, so the issue of whether that timeline will be reviewed does not arise. What is under consideration is a possible review of the date for the actual census. And of course, it follows naturally that the post-census period begins immediately after the conduct of the census.
Dr. Yahaya, are you saying, matter-of-factly, that the story out there that the census exercise has been moved to May 3 to 7 is not true?
I'm not saying it's not true, but the National Population Commission is an official organ of the federal government of Nigeria, and there are procedures when such deadlines, such timelines are to be approved. We have not gone through that process. So in that regard, I cannot confirm or deny the dates out there about that's the 3rd or some say 2nd to the 7th. I cannot confirm or deny until we get approval from the appropriate quarters.
Okay. Mr. Nasir Kwara, the head of the National Population Commission, says the commission is going to spend 896 billion naira. With all the support you are getting from international agencies, I'm sure that the money is more than that. UNFPA has donated computers, other agencies have donated so much. 896 billion to do what? Nigerians would like to know.
Yeah, thank you very much. Well, the 869 budget is inclusive of everything, or what we expect will come from the federal government of Nigeria, and also what we expect that UNAP and other donors will donate. So it's not, it's not what we get only from the federal government. That's number 1. Number 2, these costs also include what has been spent. It's not what we are going to spend now. In other words, some substantial fund, has been spent in other preparatory activities, such as the enumeration area demarcation, the pre-test, conduct of pre-test, the procurement of the personal digital assistant. So it's not a fund that we are asking afresh from the government. That's another point to know. The other point is that, that fund may appear very high, but when you look at the indices, they are very, very clear. Number 1, you are going to deploy almost 1 million ad hoc workers for the census, and even if you are paying them just 150,000 naira, that's a lot of money. That has almost taken you to over to hundreds of billions, not to even talk about the money you are going to pay during the enumeration process. So the cost is not high. But one point you also need to realize is that the expenses on the census is an economic empowerment program, because you are talking about funds that will be given to millions of Nigerians. You need to use this fund to reflate the economy. So it's not something out of the blue, and it's also an investment. That is what is. When you look at the total budget of Nigeria, for example, in 2022, and then you compare this with the census budget, this is barely 2% of the total budget. And this could not have been too much for you to have sustainable development, for you to even have data that you use to plan on how to spend, not just the budget for this year, but even for the next 10 years, that the census data will be used for planning purposes.
Dr. Yahaya, we're told that the census exercise, according to National Population Commission, will be a green census. What is a green census? We have also been told that it's going to be digital and technology-driven and all of that. Well, digital and technology-driven. Nigerians must be chuckling wherever they are. The chairman of the MPC is boasting about technology. How prepared is the MPC, considering the fact that the last time that body conducted any census at all was 17 years ago, 2006. So where is this digital expertise going to come from?
Well, you have raised two issues. As regards the grid census, every stakeholder is concerned about the deteriorating climate situation. And the National Population Commission will need to also fall into this, and that's what we mean by the grid census. In other words, if the census were to be conducted like in previous census, we used tons of papers. So many trees will have been falling for this purpose, but this time around, we are not going to use forms that will run into millions, given the size of Nigeria population. So in this, we are going to use personal digital assistant. So this will make the census green. So this is what we mean by the concept of green of census. Counting a population of 200 million, and you have to use paper to count them, will definitely impact negatively on the climate. But here we are leveraging, on technology to arrive at, to eliminate all those negative impacts on the climate. That's the first point. The second point I want to say about technology, about what the Honorable Chairman has said about the deployment of technology. They fall into several categories, and it is a process. And at every stage of that process, we have always deployed technology. First, we started with the enumeration area demarcation. This was done for previous censuses, but this time around, the enumeration area demarcation has been done in such a way that technology has been deployed on a massive scale. For example, all the EAD, they have the georeference. All the dwellings, let me first of all say that the enumeration area demarcation means the division of the country into small enumeration areas that can be covered by a pair of enumerators during the census. In this case, we have been able to divide all the land area of Nigeria that with checking the computer, you can identify all the landmarks, including the buildings in those areas. So that's one state where we are adopting technology. Also, as regards the data collection, the data will be collected through what we call personal digital assistant. That's not so much different from the normal Android tablets we use. And then instead of the enumerators going with papers from household to household, all the information collected will be put on that tablet, and immediately they are put on that tablet, they are being transmitted straight to a central server. This has eliminated quite a number of processes. For example, in the past, when you use data, when you use form, those forms will need to be collected from the field, first to the state office or the local government, and then to the data process. And you spend a number of days, trying to collate, analyze, and go through all these processes. They have been eliminated by the use of technology.
Dr. Yahaya.
And, let me say again that technology, yes.
No, because we need to wrap up.
Dr. Abati.
Yeah, I'm trying to manage time. But one question, if you can do that in less than a minute.
Okay.
This year's census, we're told, will not include ethnicity and religion. Why? Nigerians would like to know about ethnicity. They would like to know about their faith.
Yeah, that's a very important question. And also, this an issue the Commission has given very deep thought. Of course, religion and ethnicity, they are very, very important, not only in census, but survey, because it gives you the background to understand the context in which some of the data have been generated. But we have a peculiar situation where these two items have been sources of conflict that has the capacity of derailing the entire the census exercise. You can imagine you come up with a data tomorrow to say Christians are more than Muslims, or even also are more than Yoruba. We will just be embroiled in unnecessary controversy and leaving out the essential data that we need, like data on employment, on provision of infrastructure, on education, on facility. So we do not want this kind of controversy to subtract, from the utility of the census. So that's why, for now, we are leaving the ethnicity and religion out. And come to think of it, when you think the data we are going to generate, it's not, that's what this data will be used for. It's not dependent on either ethnicity or religion. If data from census is used, to allocate funds or resources for education and health, it doesn't matter. Whether you are Hausa or Muslim or Igbo or Yoruba, or whether you are Christians almost everybody will enjoy that. So we should not allow, these two items, which are unfortunately very controversial within our situation, to deny us of the immense benefit that will derive from the census. So that's why we're not doing that for this census but we still do it for other surveys that we do conduct.
Well, Dr. Yahaya, I would like to thank you very much for joining us on this Live Day Sunday talk show. Dr.